Okay, let's unpack this. Following the really tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk back in September 2025, the news didn't just report a story. It felt more like it created this fog of information.
Absolutely. And the whole world zeroed in on the man arrested, this 22-year-old Tyler Robinson.
Right.
And what's truly fascinating, when you look at the sources we have, court documents, witness stuff, but also just wild social media arguments, there's this incredible level of confusion, not just about why he might have done it, his motive, but even about who he is. So our mission here in this deep dive is to try and cut through some of that noise.
Yeah, separate the legal case from the media frenzy.
Exactly. And crucially, distinguish the suspect from these other totally unrelated but quite prominent people who just happen to be named Tyler Robinson.
That really is the core challenge, isn't it? We're trying to understand this whole thing through this lens of just information overload. And for you, the listener, it's a case where even a name gets instantly tangled up in noise and, frankly, ideology. Okay, so let's start by grounding ourselves. The known facts, the alleged crime itself. September 10th, 2025. Charlie Kirk shot and killed while speaking at Utah Valley University.
And the accused, Tyler Robinson, 22 years old, from Utah. Now, his background, it sort of complicates things a bit. He wasn't a drift, straight-A student. Got a resident presidential scholarship to Utah State.
Wow.
Only went for a year, yeah, but then he was in an electrical apprenticeship program at Dixie Technical College. He seemed to be on a pretty defined path.
And the charges filed against him reflect the absolute severity here. Aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, obstruction of justice too, and witness tampering.
And the Utah County Attorney, Jeff Gray, made it clear pretty much from the get-go they're seeking the death penalty.
That's intense.
It is. And we shouldn't just gloss over how he was caught. He was on the run, 33 hours?
Yeah, something like that.
And the sources say he only gave himself up after his parents got involved. They're registered Republicans. His dad's a police officer. They convinced him to talk to a family friend, a retired technician.
That family angle is really something. It highlights that he wasn't totally isolated. He came from this very established, politically kind of conventional Utah background, conservative family.
Right. So the facts of his life, those seem pretty clear. But his alleged motivation, that's where it just explodes into chaos, especially online.
Oh, absolutely. The second he targeted a major political figure, everyone demanded to know, what box does he fit in? Left, right?
And finding that box is proving, well, basically impossible.
His voter registration, unaffiliated, parents, like we said, Republican, but the evidence about his actual beliefs, it's a real mosaic. Doesn't fit that.
Okay, let's break down these conflicting signals. So on one side, you've got the stuff people immediately pointed to as left-wing, right? The family told investigators he'd become more political recently, leaning left, more pro-gay and trans-oriented.
And that seems partly backed up by his personal life, right? He was in a relationship with his roommate, Nancy Wicks, who was biologically male and transitioning to female. And then there's the alleged motive the police put out there. I had enough of Kirk's hatred. That sounds pretty ideological.
It takes a little frustration. But then you get the actual physical evidence from the scene. The shell casings.
Yes. Etching.
Etched with phrases. Okay, one had Bella Ciao, the Italian anti-fascist sword. Money nice.
Right, very political reference there.
And another said, hey, fascist, catch. Okay, still sounds political, but then it included a button code reference from the video game Helldivers 2.
That's where it gets weird. You've got this clear anti-fascist language mashed up with super specific, like, current internet gaming culture.
It really muddies the waters. And the counter-narrative gets even stronger. Look at how Charlie used his grandfather's bolt action, which confirms access to and probably familiarity with the type of gun culture that Utah especially has, right? It's complex, but it's there.
The other political reasons, those just completely derail any simple.
Things like, oh, whoa, what's this? Like internet furry adjacent slang.
Yeah, and the classic, if you read this, you are gay, LMAO. Pure internet troll.
And the FBI basically confirmed that. Their sources said they view these inscriptions as a big one.
So the FBI analysis started shifting.
It seems so, away from just like straightforward political radicalization and more towards this idea of nihilistic violent extremists. People may be seeking chaos, notoriety, irony over any clear ideology.
Like politics consumed entirely through layers of memes and
Exactly. You might explain that.
So it feels like the actual evidence was almost secondary contrary to this immediate, like, tribal need to label him. We saw that in the polling, right?
Yeah, that survey was telling, asking Americans about his affiliation. Only 40% said not sure, which was, frankly, the only correct answer. Wow, how funny. Meanwhile, 24% just assumed Republican, 21% assumed Democrat. Didn't matter that the evidence was all over the place, people just reflexively put him on the other team.
It just shows how polarized he is.
And it raises this really important question, when your evidence package includes anti-fascist songs and gaming themes and conservative family roots and a trans-affirming relationship, it kind of forces you to think about radicalization happening within online culture itself.
A culture built on irony and contradiction.
Right. Maybe not a neat left-right thing at all. The push to categorize him just highlights how we consume information.
Yeah. Moving to the third big piece here. The prosecution's case. Heavily reliant on electronic evidence, specifically text messages.
Texts between Robinson and his partner, Lance Twiggs, these became absolutely central.
What did they allegedly show?
Well, according to prosecutors, planning. Robinson supposedly admitted he'd been thinking about it for a bit over a week.
Okay.
And also instructions after the shooting, telling Twiggs, allegedly, to delete the messages and stay silent if approached by police. There was also mention of a confession note found under his key.
FBI Director Kash Patel summarized it as basically saying, I have a chance to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to do it.
Pretty direct.
Sounds incredibly damning, especially if you add the DNA evidence found in the rifle trigger matching Robinson. But almost instantly, those texts became this huge point of contention online.
Oh yeah, because in this kind of optics war, the authenticity of the evidence itself becomes the fight.
So people started questioning if the texts were even real.
Exactly. Commentators on the right, like Candace Owens, claimed they were doctored or at least cherry-picked. But the online skepticism, it really zoomed in on the language.
Language, how
Yeah.
so?
Well, people online, especially maybe younger people, looked at the phrasing and said, hang on. The messages reportedly used terms like my love and my old man. Kind of formal, maybe older sounding.
Okay, I can see that maybe feeling a bit off for a 22-year-old in texts.
Right. And critically, there was a noticeable lack of emojis, slang, abbreviations, the stuff you'd expect from someone that age texting.
So the argument was basically, this doesn't sound like a real 22-year-old texting.
That was the core of it. You saw comments like, what 22-year-old would text like this? The general vibe among skeptics online was the language felt too stiff, too. Explanatory.
Like it was written for an audience.
Precisely. One popular take actually claimed, AIs agree. They read like a badly written play script with a right-wing agenda. That specific point, the lack of digital native language, became the anchor for dismissing the texts as fake.
Wow. That's fascinating. It introduces this whole new layer for evaluating evidence. Does it feel authentic to the medium?
Exactly. Whether it's true or not, the fact that a whole online community decided the texts were scripted based on grammar and emoji use, it shows this collision between formal legal proof and how digital communication actually works and evolves.
The battle isn't just guilt or innocence anymore. It's about whether people even trust the information source.
Spot on.
Which brings us, I think, to the final, really necessary piece of this. Information hygiene. And the name itself, Tyler Robinson. It's not exactly uncommon.
No, not at all. And that's the point. What does all this mean for the name? When a story this huge breaks, the whole digital landscape around that name gets contaminated.
Right.
And suddenly, other people, prominent people, totally unrelated, get swept up in the noise just because they share the name. So we really have to highlight there are other well-documented Tyler Robinsons out there completely separate from this case in Utah.
Yeah, imagine being one of them. You're just doing your job, maybe a very specific high-level job, and the next day, your name is trending worldwide next to an alleged assassin.
It's nightmare. So first, let's talk about the DC advisor, Tyler Robinson. He used to be a special advisor to the Small Business Administration head, Guzman, GS-12 level.
Okay, I remember hearing about this guy. He got caught up in one of those hidden camera sting videos, right? O'Keefe Media Group.
That's the one, back in 2024. Secretly recorded on what he thought were just personal dates.
What was the issue there?
He admitted later he kind of puffed himself up, overstated his role at the SBA, his connections, basically trying to impress the person he was on a date with. He said the video was selectively edited to push a false narrative. So a totally different kind of mess, political and ethical, but completely separate from the Utah situation. One, Tyler Robinson, different controversy.
Okay, who else?
Then you have the global lawyer, Tyler B. Robinson. He's a partner at a big international law firm based in London. Co-heads their European disputes practice.
So, high-flying legal world.
Very much so. Dual qualified, U.S. and England. Deals with high-stakes international commercial arbitration, litigation. We're talking big money cases. Securing huge awards for clients like Danone, Daiichi Sankyo.
So, while one Tyler Robinson is making headlines for alleged violence,
this Tyler Robinson is busy wrangling multi-million-dollar corporate disputes across continents. The contrast is pretty stark.
definitely. And there was a scientist, too.
Yes, the planetary scientist, Tyler Robinson. He's an associate professor over at the University of Arizona's Lunar and Planetary Laboratory, LPL.
What's his field?
Exoplanets, radiative transfer, climate modeling for other worlds. He's involved in big NASA missions, concept studies. Think Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope, the Habitable Worlds Observatory.
Wow. So this guy is literally looking at other planets.
While the name he shares is caught in this incredibly toxic, earthbound political storm, the irony is just...
It really drives home the point about name confusion. And we should also quickly mention the positive side attached to the name, the foundation.
Absolutely.